guns.
The German Air Force is preparing to go to war with Britain. They are flying Phantom jets, and these pilots and navigators are from the von Richthofen Luftwaffe Squadron, founded by the legendary fighter ace, the Red Baron. Their opponents in the air combat to come are one of the RAF's top Tornado fighter squadrons.
The German Air Force, I've often thought, are the most similar to ourselves within NATO.
The Germans appreciate our sense of humour these days. They realise that it's not malicious.
They've come across to Coningsby a lot in the past. We've gone over there, and they do tend to think like Brits.
The annual Canadian Air War Games will start this morning, provided the weather plays ball. The military range over which almost 100 aircraft will fly simulated combat missions is more than 4,000 square miles, so big that the weather conditions vary greatly and change quickly.
Maple flag weather check, Cold Lake Metro, read you loud and clear, over.
Yo, good morning. Beautiful day out there, no ground fog, no cloud really, except for the very northeastern edge of the range.
Copy.
50?
We found that before satellite technology, one of the best ways to check the weather was to actually send a plane out. This pilot leaves Cold Lake around 5:30 in the morning, and he'll cover the whole range within an hour. Weather satellites themselves are not capable of going, like reading a license plate like some of these other technologies that other people have, but they don't zoom in that close. So we need a plane.
Surface analysis for 09 Zulu this morning. We still have an area of high pressure to the east of Cold Lake giving us a light southerly flow. Air mass is patchy, low and mid-level moisture. Patchy strata Q based around 3 to 6, topping out at 8. And there are a few scattered rain showers, snow showers mixed. The freezing level is going to be around 5,000 feet, and moderate turbulence associated with the convective cloud.
It's already snowing. Visibility is reduced, making supersonic combat unsafe. The planned full-scale war has been cancelled for a second day running.
Well, as you can see, the weather hasn't been particularly kind to us. The Canadians did a weather check across the range this morning, and although the eastern part of the range is fit for low flying, the western part, which is where most of the air-to-ground targets are, is completely weathered out. The cloud comes right the way down to 200 or 300 feet. So as a result, they've actually scrubbed the morning push completely, so there will be no maple flag operation for this morning's wave. But because the weather here is still flyable and we've got a training task to do, we're going to fly and do some combat sorties with the German Air Force. So it's a good opportunity in that respect.
Even though there are signs that the weathermen have failed to warn of the severity of the incoming snow, the Phantoms of the von Richthofen Squadron prepare to take off.
The overall aim is for the
Flight Lieutenant Tim Taylor is leading this morning's mission.
time-wise to beat up on the 4 F4s that we've been fighting against. Things to remember against them is that they're dirty smokers, they have to lock to shoot, but if you're spotted, it doesn't mean they don't know you're there.
What we plan to do in these missions is you have a package of ground attack aircraft which are planned to attack targets in the western part of the range, and they're being defended by a sweep or escort of fighters who fly ahead of them or with them, and their objective is to shoot down any enemy fighters, which is the role that we're playing. So what we're trying to do is to get around the enemy fighters and get into the ground attack package to shoot down the bombers before they can reach their targets. And basically the simplest way is once we've left the cap, we fly out with the ground attack aircraft coming behind us in a big formation with their sweep or escort fighters flying out ahead. Now today, of course, because of the weather, all the ground attack aircraft were cancelled, so we were concentrating solely on trying to engage the fighters in the front. So what we do is we fly towards them once we've committed the cap, and we then fly a tactic to try and get around them or to get outside them, such as their radar picture becomes confused. And then today we were just planning to hook in to try and shoot them from the side. We're quite more than happy to shoot somebody in the back. It's quite a valid tactic for us, and if we can shoot somebody when he's not looking, it's a very good result for us. So basically that's what we're trying to do. They'll fly similar tactics against us, and it's just a case of, it's just a big battle of chess in the sky. You know, you have so many pieces at the start, and it's the person with the most pieces at the end wins, right?
So we're going to go out, whoop the Germans, come back, play some crud, and whoop them again.
Kick the sorry ass.
Yeah. Thank God it's only 5 days to VE day.
At 600 scattered, measured 1200 overcast, 12 miles in light snow showers, and the visibility from the tower is about 2 miles. The wind is 010 at 10, altimeter 3012.
Yum yum, it's getting nicer by the second. Alright. Well, let's put it this way, mate, it don't get any worse than this. Freezing out there for a bust.
Shadow 59, ground taxi to your map, your time...
Things are not going to plan. One of the squadron's crews is not going to fly today. The worst disappointment for aircrew. Their Tornado and the spare jet have gone unserviceable. The unlucky pilot is a French captain on attachment to the squadron.
Initially everything was fine, but after we started the APU, I realized that the fuel gauge was reading less than normal, so we had 600 kilograms fuel missing on the gauge, so we decided not to go.
We climbed out, went for the spare, and the 2 spares, somebody had already taken one of them, and the one we climbed into, the radar didn't work. And with the weather today, they decided that if we didn't have a radar, we weren't going to come. And we didn't have a radar, so we got out again.
Despite the snowstorm, the decision to attempt a takeoff has been made. Once through the clouds, the weather is clear.
The thing which crowns every day is going flying. It's a combination of actually having control of the aircraft, pushing it to its limits, either speed or flying at low level where it's fairly demanding. The aircraft flies very smoothly, and you're very conscious of the changes of colours. We're all aware of how high, say, 300, 250 feet are, and we fly along almost subconsciously at that height. And most people master that very quickly in their career. Where the mental capacity comes in, which is sapping, is listening to what's being talked to you or what your navigator's saying, looking at your displays, and all the time being aware of what's going on. Proximity to the ground, proximity to other aircraft. There's a different kind of buzz you get when you're flying at low level, and the buzz you get from actually knowing what's going on in the big picture of where your wingmen are, where the enemy is. If you're at low level working hard flying the aircraft, you've less time to think about what's happening for the rest of the war, whereas if you're sat back at high level, you can understand what's happening with the war, but you're doing less physical flying of the aircraft.
Today's battle is on. The German Phantoms are putting the RAF Top Guns under pressure.
We just had a small scrap with 4 enemy. We'd avoided getting killed, so we thought, and we tried to run away to recuperate, and out of the window was just more aircraft, and everywhere we tried to turn there was more aircraft all trying to kill us. And we eventually, whether we'd killed or killed other people, I can't remember, we got out of it, and I was just trying to put the flames out on my head. I think that's technically known as a helmet fire. When there are too many inputs, the brain explodes, and spontaneous combustion.
What makes a good fighter pilot basically has to be very intelligent and has to have a very quick mind in the air and be able to operate well under pressure. But he also has to be extremely determined and aggressive.
Okay, we've got the guys to the west of us, Okay, first three now, fuckers. Stand by. F4. Okay.
Somebody who really is going to go up there, and doesn't matter what they do, they're up there to give you a damn good kicking. And that's exactly what they're going to do. There may be completely different people on the ground, and it's not easy to correlate between who is aggressive in the air and from just viewing them in the crew room. You need to be absolutely determined to achieve your objectives, and you need to be as aggressive as you can be to do that.
Rich. Okay, hold on, we're shooting. Up to it. First group, got it again. Mixed up.
Although we work as a team, you're very much an individual in the aircraft. You do your own thing, and it's mainly a harnessing of egos makes a successful team in the air rather than team spirit sometimes.
Back at Cold Lake, the weather conditions have deteriorated. The Maple Flag headquarters is now in the midst of a blizzard. 29 Squadron will have to make a blind approach, an instrument landing. They may not even be able to get down. If so, they will have to find another airfield.
We were told the weather was quite good coming back in, about half a mile vis, which is about 1,000 metres kilometre visibility, and 200 to 300 foot cloud base, basically smack on the limits for getting in. If we'd have known the weather conditions accurately, we probably would have diverted, but based on the information we had, we decided to make the approach, which is a valid thing to do. We went down the approach and it became obvious that the weather was quite a bit worse than it had called.
Tiger 36 is cleared to land, 31 right. The wind's 240 at 4, and we check the gear.
There's an added complication. 2 Tornadoes are low on fuel. They used too much fighting the Germans.
We were both running down on fuel, and it was certainly easier to have Boise on the wing rather than having him spin back and go back on his own, where he might have been hurting for fuel to do that.
4 miles and touchdown, intercepting glide path. Commence descent now.
The cloud was very thick, so he's working very hard to stay in. He did a good job there because in thick cloud, even when you're close, you can lose the leader, and it's very disorientating at times as well.
This is crap. We're going to be lucky to get back in.